there, buddy. How are you?
I am ready for the Lakers to get it together tonight. You?
I mean, only putting up 85 points the other night. Now, look, I did call the Suns to win. In this game that we're talking about, it's the late game for tonight. It's the Suns in Los Angeles taking on the Lakers. The Suns lead the series 3-2 at this current time, and we've got AD information. So I want to know, Scoop, what do you know about Anthony Davis and when we could potentially see him back out there for the Lakers again?
Well, he is a game-time decision from folks that I've spoke to today. I think that this game for the Lakers is do or die, but more than anything else, I fear that if Anthony Davis plays tonight and they win, they still need him for Game 7.
Right.
And they still need him for the playoffs.
Right.
So I kind of feel like, I don't know if this is cynical, but I feel like, so what? I just feel like this season right now is just so
it's tough, and I completely agree with you. And look,
yeah.
their next game up would be, so it's Thursday right now. They would play again on Saturday, and they would actually have to travel to Phoenix for that game. It's a short trip, but it still doesn't matter. It's still AD dealing with recovery and inflammation and everything else. So with a groin injury, remember last season we saw LeBron sit out for quite some time with a groin injury. And it's not just you're getting into the regular season, it's game 35. You're rolling in to playoff energy, the way the Phoenix Suns have been playing. And I'm not just talking about so far in the playoffs, the entire season. They're just in a small market and they lose that luster where if you're on the East Coast, a lot of people aren't watching games crazy late and the Phoenix Suns just get forgotten about. But Booker is no joke. And so I feel like without AD, it's really going to be tough. And you saw the look on LeBron's face in the first quarter where it almost just seemed like he was like, okay, it is what it is.
Yeah, and Lisa, that I remember during the 2018-2019 season being really dialed into LeBron's injury and just the severity of it and how underplayed or underreported it was. And from the folks that I spoke to, LeBron could have been out for a year with that injury. And where that injury benefited the Lakers, if you remember, was they didn't make it to the playoffs and they ended up getting a first-round pick that they traded for Anthony Davis back in June of 2019. This is a difference.
It played out in a great way. But here, you heard Charles Barkley. He called Anthony Davis street clothes because he's always in street clothes. Did you see this? And yes, he's had injuries, right? We see this with players. We also see it with the players that we're following the most. So remember, injuries across the board. But this is such a crucial time, very similar to the crisis that the Sixers are dealing right now with Joel Embiid.
Yeah, the Joel Embiid injury is an injury that could potentially be caustic. Like you could really be out anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks with that injury. From medical folks that I've spoken to and just Sixers folks, they're being very cautious with Embiid because I think the benefit that the Sixers do have, however, is that they do have Dwight Howard as an insurance policy. And
they do.
And ironically, the same way that the Lakers would have had Dwight Howard as an insurance policy like they did last season when Anthony Davis was hurt during the regular season. And
I actually saw you made a little post about that, I think, on social media.
I did.
Dwight Howard walking back to the bank. I bet you wish you had him right now. And you're right. And that's definitely something. But like with the Sixers, at least they're guaranteed a little bit of downtime right now, right? They're done with their series. They can kick back, so can the Nets, and they can just eat popcorn and watch everybody else out there still working while they're getting to recover their bodies. Embiid is young enough that there is a possibility that a little bit of downtime could help, but they've been so careful with him. They have kind of bubble wrapped him. But when we get back to tonight, game time decision makes me so nervous. You saw Anthony Davis out there the other day kind of stretching and moving around. It makes it really hard to put in for action on the game because you run into this waiting till last minute. And We know what happened on Tuesday night. We know that the Suns lead the series 3-2. Suns 115, Lakers 85 on Tuesday night. The total that night was 209. They didn't even reach the total. And I couldn't have imagined that the Lakers would score less than 100 points. So tonight, I'll tell you what we got right here at Bovada. The total points in this game is 2 points lower. It's 207 is the total, and it's hard for me to consider taking the over again without having the news of Anthony Davis and without, looking at what 209 looked like the other night. You're seeing other teams, especially like this, the Nuggets Trailblazers series, with really high scoring games. The Lakers have been the lowest, and tonight's going to be very interesting. It's plus 115 for the Suns, minus 135 for the Lakers. But before we make a pick and we get everybody else under again, it's a trap, somebody says. Let's talk about the early game. Let's talk about the Nuggets Trailblazers. Nuggets lead the series 3-2. Tuesday night's game into double overtime. Put more miles on the bodies of these players. The Nuggets took the win 147-140. Lillard had 55 points. When you think about the fact that the Lakers only had 85 points and Lillard in the same night at 55 points, it's wild. Wild. They just cannot defend him. Yeah. So where do we go with tonight's game? The total points here, of course, is much higher. It's 228. It's plus 170 for the win for the Nuggets and minus 200 for the win for the Trailblazers. Is this going a 7-game series? Going 7. Okay. So that means for tonight's game, you're taking the Trailblazers for the win.
Yep.
And will this be another game that goes into maybe 1, maybe 2 overtime?
Nope.
Okay. So now we got to do the math right here. Lillard got a BS call, and that's why I went to it. Everybody out there, what are you saying? We're talking about the lines of the Bovada. Don't forget, you could use my code. It's Lisa250BV. The total points right here is 228. Who's taking this one? You're taking the under or the over, Scoop, on this matchup? I already know. You've got the Trailblazers winning this one because it's going 7. I think it's going 7 too. I'm right there with you. Trailblazers for me as well.
To quote Murphy Lee from the St. Lunatics, I'm trailblazing like Portland. And I think that it's going to go under. It's going to go under. It's going to be close, but I definitely the under. I'm going with the under for the Blazers.
Okay, you go with the under for the Blazers. I'm going with the Blazers in the over, only because I still think Lillard can put up 50 points on his own. Mm-hmm. And they can't stop him. He's just too elusive out there, and he's just too confident in his shot, and that's going to hurt them tonight. So we see this series going 7, which puts a wear and tear on both of these teams. Let's talk about that 7th game. Where does it go from here? Who's going to the next round of the NBA playoffs? Is it going to be the Nuggets or the Trailblazers?
I got the Denver Nuggets.
Hey, look how far the Nuggets have gotten the last 2 seasons in a row. The year before the bubble, I remember I was working an event, Scoop, and it was the game was going into overtime, and the club wanted me to go do my thing, and I was like, you just can't do this. I was in Denver. I'm like, we're in Denver right now, and this game is going to overtime. Like, right. I understand we're going to be close to last call, but, like, this is serious. Everyone's staring at the televisions. There's no way. And so we sat there, we watched, and I remembered that late push in the 4th quarter and then through the overtime. So you think Denver's taking this series? Okay.
I do. All right. And I'll add this. When I look at the Nuggets over the last couple of years, the Nuggets have gotten better every year.
Yep, you're right. I will agree with that. Better, more consistent. They've been able to switch it up a bit, which hasn't let them be so easy to game plan against. Mm-hmm. And that's how they've gotten here season after season. We know what happens for the Trailblazers. As much as we love Lillard, this is normally as long as the ride lasts.
Yeah, I think that the Nuggets still need a valuable second star next to Damian Lillard. Because if they lose tonight, then everybody's going to start the conversation of, does Damian Lillard want to be traded? The Knicks. And
I just don't think he does. I mean, he's talked about it in so many interviews. He loves where he is. There's something to be said for this. But if they can bring in a piece that can really help him, then it could be easier for him. Because look, he's
Yeah.
comfortable in that system. Where would he be a perfect fit?
If not Portland,
Yeah,
I can see how the Knicks make sense only because they need a point guard. I
right.
can see but realistically speaking, um, Lonzo Ball makes sense too.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I'll tell you that as it relates to the Knicks, at the draft last year, there were conversations, and even at the trade deadline
Yeah.
between as far as the Knicks as well as the Chicago Bulls. I personally think that if you do move Lonzo Ball, I think he's a fit with Chicago. But as it relates to Damian Lillard, he's given no indication that he wants to leave. I know that my
No,
guy.
he's always said he wants to stay. So it will be different. Look, it's an emotional time. He has to come down after this loss, if that is what happens, if they're eliminated in this round.
Mhm.
And then, yes, the conversations will start in the media. But for him, he'll probably just take this time to kick back. I do think adding something there would be incredible valuable. It's going to be interesting to see who else wants to leave, right? What other pieces there now? We've got
Mhm.
two scenarios that are very different, and one would be this Suns Lakers matchup if Anthony Davis was healthy. And I'm not just saying playing, because I agree with you. Jeff had said it as well. I agree with the fact that if he does play, there's still going to be limits. This is a new injury, and this is a tough injury for you to really, push off, do what he needs to do, the stopping, everything that he needs to do to be productive and not be wasting space out there.
Mhm.
So we're at a disadvantage. Lakers are at a disadvantage in this situation. Can they make it any further, even if they beat the Suns? Can they make it any further in the next round? Because we know that this injury with Anthony Davis is not going to be a week and it's over.
I think the Lakers healthy can compete with anybody. I think the you look at the Nets and you look at the Lakers and people think at face value they're the same. The difference is the Nets got healthy. Them being a second round or the Nets being a second place team, and then the play-in tournament happened, gave a week's rest. The Lakers had to not only play as a 7 seed, they had to go to the play-in tournament and beat the Warriors in an NBA final style game. And then they've had to compete with the Suns, who have teeter-totted between 1 and 2 all season.
All
At the end,
season. All
yeah,
season. They've been
yes,
playing this rhythm of basketball. Now, when you look at comparing the Nets to the Lakers, which I find is interesting, and I get where you're going if it was full health. You got
right.
AD and you got LeBron. But the problem with the Lakers isn't even only AD, it's who is going to step up and when. And, Schroeder, I've been very surprised at just kind of this lackluster. We know what Caruso can do from time to time, but who is going to be that? Where's Morris's minutes? Like, what is really happening that we're not getting contributions that are more even scaled? I mean, the game 2 nights ago, there was only one Laker who scored double digits, and it was LeBron. And when you look at the Suns, every one of their starters scored double digits. The math doesn't add up, and it makes it really
Yeah.
difficult for me to believe that the Lakers can not only, of course, I'm going to go for the under, because, of course, I also think that it's a trap at this point when I went for the over at 209. But how hard can LeBron push and get it done? It's not a one-man show.
Math wasn't my best subject in high school, but I can speak English, and English was my best subject. And I know that when I read box scores, I think LeBron had 24 points in the last game. Um, I know that Kuzma tried to show up, but in order for the Lakers to be successful, not only do they need a great showing from Kyle Kuzma, who I'll add, when I look at Kyle Kuzma, I think that he, like Brandon Ingram,
Yep.
plays better when it's not two stars on the court at the same time. Like every player stylistically cannot play next to LeBron or Anthony Davis. And I've
Right.
seen that when Kuzma plays well, it's when either AD or LeBron are not on the floor.
But that was not the case the other night. Like, he's just not getting it done. And this is where you look at this lineup. You got KCP, again, another day-to-day decision. Kuzma, who has not been, who's going to do this? I can't compare them to the Nets at all.
I
I just feel
like
like the
Taylor
Nets.
Horton Tucker. I think
Okay.
that, but I think he's been underplayed all series.
Minutes wise. Am I right?
And it seems like Frank Vogel was not early in the season or in the series a fan of Marc Gasol, and then when he finally put Gasol in, he played well.
Byron, hold on one second. Byron just said they should have kept Ingram. I agree, but I think Ingram is a better player in his new home. Sometimes it takes a move to bring out. It's some single thing that a trainer or a coach saw that wasn't being noticed and recognized where you were playing very stagnant basketball. That move for Ingram made him better than he would have been if he stayed with the Lakers, if you ask me.
I mean, Ingram was a topic of conversation with the Pelicans and the Lakers when at the trading deadline 2 seasons ago, as well as Kuzma, as well as Lonzo Ball, and ultimately the Pelicans did not get Kuzma in that trade, and they got Ingram, and Ingram was the most improved player of the year last year. So, when I look at the Lakers, I think it's going to be and I don't think Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is 100%, but who is at this point in the
I
season?
don't either. You're right, Bo. You're right. Who is at this point in the season? But they need him to be like 90. At least feel like just push that you're 90. So I'm concerned. I'm concerned for the Lakers. Like, this is a stay away game for me. I am all in. If you want to be all in with me, it's Lisa250BV for my bonus code. It's a Bitcoin bonus code for your first deposit. But I will say this. I got to stay away from this until I hear more information. Now at 9 o'clock right here at Bovada's Insta, I will be joined, and we will be in Staples Center with Arash, and I'm really excited about it because we're going to get that last-minute kind of injury report, and then potentially you can still go and throw down your wagers.
Arash Makazi, one of the best in the business. His weight loss journey is definitely admirable. A guy that's a man amongst the people. Got a good guy coming on at Instagram Live later today.
I'm looking forward to it. I've had him on doing different shows on Sirius XM, and he always brings a ton of that energy, and he's just so locked in. So LeBron's dropping 50 points tonight is what Brendan says. Is it possible? LeBron dropped, I'll tell you exactly, 24 points. You had said it, Scoop. LeBron had 24 points the other night. Okay, Kuzma did contribute with his 15 and Tucker putting up 11. But, man, you only got 3 players on Tuesday night. It was Sunday night where it was only 1 player. You got to get double digits, man.
Listen, the Lakers, I don't bet against LeBron in a must-win game. You've seen him do it before. Game 7 is more what I'm worried about. Game 6, they're in Los Angeles, so they have the fan support. But in Game 7,
they go back to Phoenix.
And Chris Paul is you talk about that 90. I think Chris Paul is about 75 to 85%.
He might be 90. I mean, he looks really good. He's feeling it. You can just see he's got that confidence back, that he feels strong enough to go out there and do the work like he likes to do the work. Let's look ahead real quick and talk about tomorrow. Nice single game slate for a Friday night, right? 1 game. We got the Clippers at the Mavericks. This game, to me, the Clippers battling it out because Dallas leads the series 3-2, and the Clippers wanted to play Dallas in the first round.
So you asking me who I have?
Yeah. Will it end, or will there be 7?
I think it's going to be 7, Lisa.
You do?
I do.
Okay.
I pay attention to body language.
The total points, which we know the game is tomorrow. Anything can change. Total points on this one is 216.5. Minus 135 for the Clippers, plus 115 for the Mavs.
I got the Clippers tomorrow, and I'm going to go with the over. Luka seems to play well in Los Angeles. He looks
What's
like
interesting is about this series, let me just interrupt for a second. It's the first time in playoff history that no team has won in their home arena.
Mm-hmm.
What's up with that?
Mm-hmm.
Such a bizarre thing.
It is. And
so that's why you think it's going to go back and forth one more time, because this is how it's been working out. Luka's been playing very well at Staples. You're right.
Brendan's in the comments talking about Mark Cuban's my buddy. Lies. Mark is going to be mad at this one. Listen, I'll tell Mark the truth to his face. I think at the end of the day, it's been a compelling series between both teams. And it seems that, the 2 previous games, not last night, the 2 games prior to that, Luka's health has been an issue. I don't know what crypto chamber he's been in. I don't know if he called T.O. to borrow his crypto chamber or what, but Luka's been
It's
playing well.
cryo, by the way. It's cryo
Thank you
chamber.
for that. I'm
And
glad.
by the way, you're thinking of Bitcoin, which I understand, but cryo chamber is something I do on the regular, and I absolutely love it. It is the greatest feeling. Once you get used to being in 230 degree below freezing temperatures for 3 minutes,
right.
Once you get used to it, it changes how your body adapts to hot and cold, but mainly it's for inflammation. Like if you take a flight and you go right to cryotherapy right after, you go to the chamber, like you're not even, it's amazing. So it is the fountain of youth, if you ask me. And so many players are using them and have them in their homes. So that could be a part of it. But he really, remember last Thursday, you were a little concerned about his injury. Maybe it's also youth, right? This kid can recover a bit. Maybe he's still dealing with some pain management, but he's powering through it.
He's the epitome of the kid who went out Thursday night to a party for Thirsty Thursday and had an 8 a.m. class on Friday. He's still got youth on his side. He can do it. Somebody now.
Totally. And can make plans to go back out that night after class, right?
Right. So I think for him, he's got it. He's just got to close it out. And, I think that's the hardest part in playoff series from, just closing it out. I think that I'd like to see it go 7. I do have the Clippers tomorrow night, but if the Mavericks close it out, I wouldn't be surprised. I think that they were unexpectedly impressive.
They're prepared. Yes. That's really what it was. The Mavs were preparing for this matchup.
Yeah.
And you can see it. And I think we've all looked at the Clippers, and on paper, the team just looks like it should win. If you just did your lineup side by side, you'd be like, okay, yeah, the Clippers should definitely win this. But that's not how it's playing out. And that's why this series has been so great. And that's why these series that we think are going to 7 just gives us that just excitement. But yet for these monster teams who are getting these extra couple of days off, one or two things can happen. Players can get out of rhythm, or the rest can do them good, right? Sometimes it's just better to keep grinding. But at this point, you got healthy teams getting, a couple extra days off, as opposed to the banged up teams are still out there grinding.
You know what? I think for teams like the Brooklyn Nets, maybe the trainer sent Kyrie Irving a bunch of Celtics logos to dance on in his apartment in Brooklyn. Or
let me just interject really quick. NACRUZ says Lakers or Suns tonight. I am going to wait until we have more news on AD. I really want to see what we're doing here, how they're game planning. Is he going to be in but limited, or are they planning without him? If they're planning without him, I almost think it'd be a little bit easier for LeBron, because he knows exactly where his head's at, and he's going to motivate these kids to play and play hard, a lot harder than putting up 85 points the other night.
For sure. Well,
so you can wait on that info just like we are. Everyone, you make sure you use my promo code. It is Lisa250BV. Scoop, you've been working on some great stuff for Bally's. Loving all of your work as always. I saw that you reached out to T.O. about the stomping on the logo at TD Garden. So let's talk about that for a second. Did you think it was a big deal this time? Because if you remember, during the NFL season this year, this happened to a couple of teams, and it really created a little stir, and I like it.
Well, T.O. is someone to speak with as it relates to dancing on logos, and then a member of the San Francisco 49ers. He danced on the Dallas Cowboys logo, and he was quickly tackled. I think after the second time he did it. Kyrie Irving, I'll say this. The fan who threw the water bottle was wrong. And the water bottle throwing was no justification for dancing or stomping on the Celtics logo. But I am one who believes that the stomping on the logo and the water bottle incident were mutually exclusive. I don't think they were connected. I just think the fan decided he didn't like Kyrie.
Well, listen, I don't think they were connected at all. You know why?
No.
Because fans are acting wild at every single arena right now. We're seeing something every night. I mean, the other night when a fan got on the court during the Wizards game, I was like, are you kidding me? How did this guy get by this many? How are the security people sleeping? Like, what's going on? No, I don't think they were connected at all.
Yeah.
I just think people are wilding out because it's their first time out in a while. Yeah. And meanwhile, they should just be excited to go to games. We've waited so long for this. Don't ruin the experience. They need more security at the arenas, there's no doubt. But Hey, listen, I like a little banter, a little trolling. I mean, it's funny, it's good, but that's right. Jeff had brought it up, and it was Derrick Henry. It was for the Tennessee Titans. I knew it was a logo
Yes,
dancing NFL. It was big. It was
yes,
great. Everybody
yes.
tonight. We are looking at this first game, the Nuggets Trailblazers. Nuggets lead the series 3-2. We think the Trailblazers are going to take it, making this going into game 7. Scoop is for the under, the total points at 228. I am for the over, the total points at 228. You guys can get in the action. I'm going to lay off right now on the Lakers Suns until I hear more information about AD and Scoop. We'll be right back here next Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time again. Everyone follow Scoop on social media and have a great time watching these 2 games.
Same bat time, same bat channel. Enjoy your
You
day, man.
know it.
See you soon.
See you.